Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Duron Morning Show with your host himself, me, Duron Coles. This is episode 32. I called it Sports Talk. I didn't know what else to name it, but there's a lot of sports topics I want to talk about because there's been a lot of headlines lately. So welcome to any live listeners out there that are brand new to the show and the ones that are returning. I appreciate you guys. And also thank you to any supporters that are watching this later on YouTube or any different social media platform that this gets posted to. I appreciate you as well. Like I said, this is episode 32, and today is Thursday, February 25th, 2021. So let's just dive right into it. If you don't know already, because I didn't do it today, I always drink my Lucky Water. It's not really lucky, it's just what I call it. Before the show, so excuse me for the burp. I went and chugged it before the show. So let's just dive right into it. There has been a big topic about, it wasn't that huge, but it was a headline that I saw, and I thought about it. So it's definitely a headliner. And something that I've been told is people enjoy the show more often when I give a breakdown in the beginning of what I'll be talking about, and then talk about those later. So the headlines I want to talk about, the first thing is Adrian Peterson was on the Shannon Sharpe Podcast, and he said that he feels like he's the Micheal Jordan and LeBron James of the NFL as far as talent goes, pure God-given talent. That's his quote. He said, I'm not the most accomplished, even though I have won awards and stuff. I have won a Super Bowl championship. I want to do more. He said, but just as far as God-given talent, I feel like I'm up there with the LeBron James and the Micheal Jordans of the basketball world. I don't know why he didn't say Barry Sanders and other running backs and stuff, but I get what his comparison was. And then the next topic I wanted to talk about was the Lakers' losing streak and the Utah Jazz being number one in the Western Conference. I want to talk about the All-Star game coming up, the NBA All-Star game specifically, coming up, and the All-Star snubs. People were talking about Devin Booker getting snubbed and Trae Young and Domantas Sabonis. There's a lot to talk about there. And then I think I shouldn't run out of time talking about those three things, but if I do, I want to talk about a lot of what ifs because it kind of loops around because Adrian Peterson is a big what if he wasn't on the Vikings and he was on a better team and stuff, and if he didn't go to Washington and all these different teams. There's a lot of other what ifs as far as football goes, so, and just sports in general. So I want to talk about those as well. So let's just dive right into it. Now, for those that are new to the show, you haven't watched the other sports episodes we've done in the past. I've done in the past. Right now I'm a huge Patrick Mahomes fan, and I'm an Eagles fan first and foremost. But when it comes to players, I just love watching greatness and talent and seeing records be broken and just seeing things we've never seen before. So I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I really hope one day he throws for 4,500 yards and then rushes for another 15. If he does something like that, it's just cemented. A single person by himself put up 6,000 yards of just pure offense. So Lamar, I just want to see somebody. I just love seeing GOATs come and just see what can be done. So I wanted Mahomes to be and I did a whole talk on this, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I wanted Mahomes to be, he's been the youngest to win championships and MVPs, and he's the youngest and fastest to get to 100 touchdowns and 10,000 yards and all those good. He's broken those records. So I wanted him to keep on doing that with 20,000 and 200 touchdowns and stuff, but I was praying that he could go that he could go perfect in the Super Bowl. I was about to say super in the perfect bowl. That he could go 6-0 or 4-0, 5-0. I was praying that he could go Jordan, or Joe Montana as far as football goes, in the Super Bowl. Joe Montana was considered the GOAT before Tom Brady because he was 4-0 in the Super Bowl, and he was the greatest Super Bowl player of all time. But he had Jerry Rice as a wide receiver. So, with that being said, the Adrian Peterson conversation. Growing up, Adrian Peterson was kind of like my Mahomes. Michael Vick was, Adrian Peterson was. Who else was another one? LaDainian Tomlinson way back when he scored 28 touchdowns that one year. Shaun Alexander did it. Like I just love records. Since I was a kid, I've known all these records because I've always wanted to see them be broken. And I played a lot of Madden, and they have like the record book, so I would study that thing, so that when I would create a character or something, I could just break all their records. So I knew all the years and stuff. In 2005, Shaun Alexander got 27 touchdowns, and then in 2006, LT broke with 28, and it was just Shane Leckler was has the farthest punts and things like that. What's his name? Matt Prater on the Broncos has kicked a 63-yard field goal. That's the longest field goal ever. Like, I love records like that. So with Adrian Peterson, when he came out his rookie year, I believe it was his fourth game. I'm not that nice. I don't remember, but I know it was his rookie year. He broke the record for the most rushing yards in one game against the Lions his rookie year. I was like, this, and they were talking about it. He was the third pick overall to the Vikings. They're like, this guy could be the best running back to ever do it. Plus, and this is a on-running joke in the NFL. Adrian Peterson was 19 and bald on purpose. He was shaving his head. I was like, he's going to be great. I know he's going to be, because same thing with Leonard Fournette. Like, anyone that's purposely becoming bald at a young age and they look like Adrian Peterson, he looked like somebody's uncle at 19. I was like, he's just going to be great. So his rookie year, when he ran 297 yards on the Lions, I was like, he could do it. If he's a rookie and he already has the record for the most rushing yards in one game, then he's going to be the greatest to ever do it. And then he had great seasons. He got rushing titles and stuff like that. And then he tore his ACL and his MCL, and I believe in one knee. And people were like, he's done. He's not gonna be able to be the same person. And he said, I'll never forget this story. They said he'll come back in 2 years. And he said, I'll bet everything I come back in 6 months. They said that's impossible. Like, the body just doesn't heal like that. He said, I'll come back in 6 months. And after tearing his ACL and his MCL, he did exactly what he said. He came back in 6 months. And not only did he do that, in 2012, he won he injured himself in 2011. In 2012, he won the MVP and rushed for 2,097 rushing yards. And he was 8 yards off of breaking the of Eric Dickerson's record for the most rushing yards in one season. I think he rushed for 15 touchdowns that year too. So he won MVP. And if you don't know football, and I would assume you do if you're watching the sports episode, or just sports in general, the MVP in majority, like 95-ish% of the time, goes to a quarterback if you just look at history. So even since Adrian Peterson has won the MVP in 2012, there hasn't been a running back or any other there hasn't been any other position that's won MVP besides quarterback since 2012. And before him, it was LaDainian Tomlinson, and I believe 06 or 07. I believe that was 06. He won MVP, and there wasn't anyone besides Adrian Peterson that did that. So those are the last two positions, or people. Those were the last two people that weren't quarterbacks to win the MVP. So just on God-given talent, I could see the argument for Adrian Peterson being like the LeBron James or Micheal Jordan of football. Micheal Jordan was gifted. I was about to say Micheal Jordan isn't like LeBron and stuff, because Micheal Jordan had to do a lot of work. Like, people don't really talk about. He was always gifted. He was always a gifted athlete, but people don't talk about how Jordan, like, he wasn't. Like, for example, LeBron was 13 and dunking on people. He was already like 6'4" or something like that. And there was like movies being made about him and stuff, or people were recording him. Micheal Jordan didn't have that. Like, he was a regular kid. He got cut from the basketball team, and he just grinded and he just worked and he did what he had to do. So I'm not gonna come up here and say Micheal Jordan isn't talented, or doesn't have God-given talent. But I feel like he had to do a lot more work than LeBron James did. LeBron James is just bigger than everybody else. He's 6'8", 240, and can run the same speed as like Russell Westbrook and stuff. Like, it's just a pure God-given athlete. There's never like been someone like him. There's never been anyone made like him. The closest person right now is Zion Williamson, and we see his body isn't made for that. Like, he keeps hurting his knee and his foot and stuff. That Zion is 6'6", and he's like one. I don't know if he still is, but at one point when he was a rookie, he was the heaviest person in the NBA, and he still had like a 40 plus inch vertical. So if he was 6'6" and LeBron's like build, he probably could be, if not more athletic than LeBron James. So I mean, what do I think about Adrian Peterson? I think if there's one person that could make the argument better, but he didn't live up to his expectations, and that's Reggie Bush. I think Reggie Bush, in my opinion, and it's ironic because I wanted to talk about him later with What Ifs, but I can semi-dive into it now because it's related to the conversation. If you are a football fan and you've never taken the time to go watch 06 Heisman Reggie Bush highlights, please go do yourself a favor. Reggie Bush was not playing the same game as everyone else. He could literally start in the middle of the field, go all the way to the right side of the field, go all the way back to the left side of the field, and then still makes a touchdown somehow on the right side of the field. And he did his best when he was on the Saints. He did some of that in the NFL, but he wasn't college Reggie Bush. So if he was able to do the things that he did in college in the NFL, then I would give him that award. But he doesn't have the size like Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson was just a grown man. Like, not only was he swifty like Reggie Bush, nowhere near as swifty, but he could make a couple moves. He just would run through you. There's so many plays where Adrian Peterson had people on him, and he would just like grab you and throw you off. Adrian Peterson was my favorite running back. Before him was Deuce Staley, because I'm a huge Eagles fan. Deuce Staley was my favorite running back growing up. And then I got the NCAA 06 football. Well, I didn't get it. My cousin got it for his Xbox. NCAA football 06. Reggie Bush was on the cover. USC number 5. And I was like, this guy is the greatest thing I've ever seen. He was a cheat code. It was like Michael Vick in Madden, in like 04 Madden. Or was that 06 Madden? I think that was 04. 2004 Madden was the one Michael Vick was on the cover. Sorry about that, guys. And I hate when I say too. My mind is just doing everything if I can think of anyone else. The only other person, I mean, you could talk about the Jim Browns, like Jim Brown and Walter Payton and Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith is accomplished. Like, Emmitt Smith is the number one all time on the rushing yards. I don't know if he's rushing touchdowns. That I actually don't know, and it's weird that I don't know that. It would have to be him. It would have to be Emmitt Smith. But Emmitt Smith is number one on all-time rushing yards, and I think he has 2 or 3 Super Bowls. But it could have been longevity that got him there. Barry Sanders, for him to have all the records and stuff that he does, or to be even top 10 or top 5 on these lists for like yards and stuff. Barry Sanders was only in the league, I think, 11 years or something like that, maybe even less. And that's because they obviously get tackled more and they have to run through people. So look at it like this: quarterbacks. The quarterbacks with the top 3 passing yards all time. Number 1 is number 1 is Drew Brees right now, and then it's Tom Brady. And I would assume number 3 is Peyton. I don't know that as a fact, but I do know number 1 is Drew Brees. Number 2 is Tom Brady, and then same thing for touchdowns. Touchdowns is number 1 is Tom Brady. Number 2, I believe, is Drew Brees or Peyton. All 3 of those guys were in the league for 18 years plus. Tom Brady's about to go into, I believe, his 21st season or something like that. He got drafted in 2000. Yeah, he got drafted for the 2000-2001 season, so he's about to go into the 2021-2022 season. So he's about to go into his 21st year. Brett Favre might be third all-time passing yards, but even him, everyone I'm naming for quarterbacks, to get to these records, you have to have played in the league for 20 plus years, 18 plus years. You know what I mean? So compare that to the running backs. Emmitt Smith, I don't know how long he played in the league. I can actually Google that real quick. I don't know how long Emmitt Smith played in the league. I know as a fact Bears Hens didn't play in the league that long. But you know who else could go for God-given talent? And he might actually win, even though he doesn't have the accomplishments to back it up. Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson was just oh my God. Just God-given talent. Bo Jackson most likely wins the LeBron or Micheal Jordan, whatever, the number 1 or 2 for just most gifted. Yeah. I was actually going to give it to Adrian Peterson. It's not even a question. It's Bo Jackson. They say that Bo Jackson hasn't been shown or proven yet. Like, there's no film of it. But Bo Jackson's even finally confirmed it and come out himself. He said, yeah, it was a 4.13. He said he ran a 4.13 in the 40-yard dash. But if you just look at his credentials, he was an all-star in football and then an all-star in baseball. Bo Jackson was playing some people have to dedicate their whole lives just to play soccer or play baseball or play whatever sport, like your dedicated sport. You go to camps and you just train your whole life just to do this one thing. Bo Jackson did both of them. Deion Sanders too. He's even up there. Excuse me. But if you want to keep it in running backs, it's Bo Jackson. But even Deion Sanders, if you want to look at all football players, I'm giving it to Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson, I've watched a lot of highlights, not of just him, in general. I've watched a lot of highlights of a lot of players, of basketball, of baseball. I've watched Jackie Robinson. I've watched the Mickey Mantles. I've watched a lot of film on just sports. I'm a sports junkie. I've watched the Ronaldos and the Messis and the Neymars and the Ronaldinhos and the Hulks. I've seen Deion Sanders and even if you think of someone like Devin Hester, I wouldn't even put really Devin Hester up there. But even if you think of someone like him, it's Tyreek Hill. They're just fast. They're just faster than everybody else. And it comes to a point where you can't make your body faster. Like Usain Bolt. He's the fastest man because of his height and the way he trains. If someone else was as tall as him and had like the muscle structure he did, then they'd probably be as fast as him. But there's a certain point where you can't make your body faster. That's just if you want to call it that, just a God-given ability, God-given talent. Somebody can't make, like, you know what I mean? Like, after a certain point, you just can't be faster. And I learned that when I was running track. You can train and you can try to knock seconds off your time, and as you grow up, like, you can try to get faster. But by the time you're 20-ish, 21, that's how you run. That's it. It's not much you can do. You can try to jump like a clock or something or do that, but your speed, it's really it. Like, you can't make your body faster. So for Bo Jackson to be as strong as he was, and for Bo Jackson to be as strong as he was, as fast as he was, and just as pure talent as he was, talentedly pure, I don't know. I would give it to him. And I think that's where I'll end that. But I think I was looking up how long Emmitt Smith was in the league. Emmitt Smith was in the league from 15 seasons. It's actually not. I mean, it's long, but it's not that long. Barry Sanders was in the league for, doesn't say, from 89 to 98. So I thought it was that short one. So he was only in the league for 10 years. And he got to, how many yards did he rush? Where's rushing yards? He got to 15,269 rushing yards. If I won't here, I might as well find out what the career rushing yards thing is. I'm almost positive the career rushing yards is 18,000 something. Without looking yet, I think it's 18,000 something. $18,355. And the next person isn't even, they're literally not even within 1,500 yards. Walter Payton has 16,726. Emmitt Smith is number 1. Frank Gore is number 3. Now, Frank Gore, for example, and this is no shade to him if you ever watched this, I'm sorry. Frank Gore isn't overly talented, or like no one thinks of Frank Gore as being like, I'm going to start a franchise with him and he's going to shake somebody. Frank Gore's reliable, absolutely, but he's not like talent. Reggie Bush, Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders, Frank Gore doesn't have those type of highlight plays or something like that. Frank Gore is kind of like Jerome the Bus Bettis. Jerome the Bus Bettis is awesome, but he's just bigger than everyone else. You know what I mean? He just runs through you. So, number 1 is Emmitt Smith, 2 Walter Payton, 3 Frank Gore, 4 Barry Sanders. Number 5 is who we're talking about, Adrian Peterson. He said he wants to stay in the league long enough to pass Emmitt Smith. How long has Adrian Peterson been in the league? Because with records like this, to me, it kind of depends on how and when you break it. Because something like, I always have this conversation, and I don't want to sway too far off, but this is very relevant. Micheal Jordan versus the LeBron James argument. LeBron James has been in the league now, I believe this is his 17th year. And he's at whatever, 36-ish, 37-ish thousand points. Now, Michael only finished with 33, but he only played in the league for 11 years. And I mean 11 real years. I think total he was in the league 13 or something like that. But I'm not counting the Wizard. He didn't. Let's look up Michael too. I know this is going to sway, but to me this is a huge argument. Micheal Jordan, Michael Jeffrey. So, yeah, they're saying retired. 1, 2, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, didn't play, 7, 8, 9. I don't know where I was at, but it's 13 years, like I said. So in 13 years, and even if you take out the Washington years, I don't know, it doesn't tell me how many points he scored Washington years. I can do the math. 60 games, points 22. So he scored maybe do the math somewhere around 1,400. And then, is that math right? Yeah, 1,400-ish. And then 16-ish hundred. So that's 3,000 points. So in 11 years, he scored 29,000 points. That's a lot, man. I don't know. That's a lot. So, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing well.
I just made a room 10 minutes ago, but nobody came in. I think everybody's in somewhere, so not many people come in at this time on.
Yeah, everybody's asleep. Well, welcome to the Duron Cole's Morning Show, man. I'm talking about sports right now. All this stuff gets recorded and posted later on YouTube, so I'm going to move you to the audience, and if you have anything you want to add, you just raise your hand, all right?
So it's like a show.
Yeah, I do it every day. Yep.
Oh, okay. I just thought we could talk to each other because you're the only one here. So I'm in Tokyo now. It's pretty late, so I think I'm gonna go then.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, sorry, man. Bye.
I guess for the show, whatever. You guys know I don't care about stuff like that. I didn't. So I was working on the house late again last night. So I didn't get to. Normally, what I do is I schedule a room where I guess it makes me the moderator, I guess. I don't know how that just happened or that works. But I didn't get to do that last night, so I just started the show this morning. And I guess because he joined, it just let him talk. But whatever. It's not going to stop us, right? So, where was I even at? Oh, so I was talking about Micheal Jordan. I said in 11 years or something like that, he scored 29,000 points, if I'm even counting that right. He did one. This thing is in the way. Yeah, I gotta move this. Sorry, guys. That was really weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He didn't play. 6, 7, 8. I said 9 and 6, 7, 8. So 9, 10, 11, 12. 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he really played 15 years. And then 14 and a half, because the year he came back in 94, 95, he played 17 games. So 14 and a half years he played. Then I said subtract 2 from the Washington years. So 12 and a half. So in 12 and a half years, it's not even half, because 17 is nowhere near half of 82, but let's just call it that. 12 and a half years, he put up 29,000 points. If he would have played for another 5 years, and his career average is 30.1 points. If he didn't stop playing in 98, 99, 2000, if he didn't stop playing in 93, Micheal Jordan would probably have finished with 40,000 points. But he didn't take the game as seriously as LeBron. So, for all the... And this is part of the what ifs. So we're just going to transition to that. Like, what if Micheal Jordan didn't stop playing? He probably would have finished with 40, 41. You know what I mean? He would have beat Kareem's record. But obviously LeBron does more than him as far as rebounds and assists and stuff. If you haven't taken the time to look at LeBron's numbers, it's just mind-blowing. He's going to finish top 10 in assists. Number 1 most likely in points. He's going to finish with 10,000 rebounds, which I don't think any, like Michael's, Kobe, I don't think they don't even come close to Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. I don't think they come close to that. LeBron's going to have 40,000 points, 10,000 assists plus, 10,000 rebounds plus. That's just crazy. So I love that GOAT conversation, but that's a whole different conversation. So, but I mean, we're already on the NBA, and like I said, we'll end up getting into the what ifs later. But the All-Star game is coming. I believe. I don't even know when normally it's around this time, but I know it got pushed back and everything because of the season. But so the All-Stars snubs, as they've been calling them, and I don't know all of them, but I do know most of them off the top of my head. Who first and foremost, who made the All-Star game? It's whoever you would assume is the best. Most likely is, and they got in. LeBron got in. Anthony Davis got in. Giannis got in. Kevin Durant got in. But there are some that you would assume got in that didn't. Like just now, I was like, oh, Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard actually didn't get in. That's a huge snub. So to just transition to even that, Damian Lillard didn't get in. Trae Young didn't get in. Devin Booker didn't get in. People are saying Fred VanVleet is a snub. I don't know about that. I know he's been balling, but I don't know if I think of Fred VanVleet and think of because All-Star is top, I believe it's top 20. Or it might be top 24, top 24 people in the league. I don't know if I think of Fred VanVleet as like a top 24 player. Domantas Sabonis didn't get in. I believe Donovan Mitchell didn't get in either. So, I mean, I can even look that up as well. That was really weird that guy, I mean, it is what it is. So, Donovan Mitchell did get in. I thought he did. But because Anthony Davis, Steph Curry got in, I don't know why I forgot Steph Curry. What was I about to say? I was about to say something. But, so these are the reserves. I don't want to read all the reserves. I want to read. Oh, so Damian Lillard did get in. But I guess he's not a starter. Where is All-Star rosters? I want to see both, not just... I want to see the reserves, too. Okay, so Kevin Durant is the Eastern Conference captain, and then LeBron James. So, like I said, if you assume that they got in, then they did. Kevin Durant is in. LeBron, Giannis, Steph Curry, Bradley Beal, Luka, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Jaylen Brown. Oh, well, now this the reserves. So Jaylen Brown got in. This is his first time. Anthony Davis, James Harden, Paul George. I'm going to say Kawhi's on here, right? Kawhi. He was one of the starters. James Harden, Paul George, Zach LaVine. This is his first time as an All-Star. Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle got in. Damian Lillard did get in as a reserve. Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Chris Paul, Nikola Vucevic, Zion. And since AD is hurt, Devin Booker is replacing him. So he did end up getting in. But in general, they were saying he got snubbed. So the question becomes, which is what everyone's been asking, if someone got snubbed, who do you replace them with? Like, who's not an all-star? Julius Randle, this is his first time making it. Do you take him out? He's averaging 23 and 11. I don't know. Some people said replace Vucevic. They said Chris Paul shouldn't have got in. He just got in based off of, like, his name. They said Devin Booker should have got in over Chris Paul. Excuse me. Zion's averaging 25 and 7. Damian Lillard is averaging 30, and he's a reserve off the bench. That's crazy. I think Anthony Davis made it off his name. Anthony Davis is not playing like an all-star at all. Like, for example, Anthony Davis is averaging 23 and 8. Or 20, really, 20, you can round up. That's a huge round up. But he's averaging 23 and 8. And he got voted like higher than Julius Randle, who's averaging 23 and 11. It's kind of like a name thing. Julius Randle's playing better, but Anthony Davis is a champion. He's on team. He's on the Lakers. He's on a team with LeBron. So I don't know. I think the starters are good. You can't take them out. Bradley Beal's as a starter. He's the leading. I didn't even know that. Bradley Beal's the leading scorer in the NBA. He's averaging 33 a game. Jesus. And I haven't even heard anyone talk about Giannis this year. Everyone was saying Giannis was doing poorly. He's averaging 29 and 12. Steph Curry needs to be in the MVP conversation, carrying his team the way he is. Steph Curry's averaging 30. He's averaging. They said he's averaging the same numbers he averaged when he was the unanimous MVP in 2015, or maybe that was 16. That was 2016, because he won his first MVP 2015. Then they won the championship. And then 2016, he won the unanimous MVP, but LeBron said 3-1, I'm coming back. So, I don't know who you could replace. Like, they said Sabonis is balling. Who would you replace Sabonis over Gobert? I don't know. Gobert's averaging 14 and 13. He's probably the leader in rebounds in the NBA, probably. Zach LaVine is balling 29. He's averaging 29. James Harden is balling. He's averaging 25 and 11. 11 assists, not rebounds, obviously. I don't know who you could replace, to be honest. But something else I wanted to talk about before we got into what ifs to end the show. I was watching this video by Jimmy High Roller yesterday. He's on YouTube if you want to find him and watch him. He was talking about scoring in the NBA and how it has scaled exponentially. If you even look over the last 10 years. So Tony Parker, and this was one of the great examples he used, and I just can't stop thinking about it. Tony Parker, on average, was the fourth leading point guard for points per game in the NBA back then. But the game was slower paced, and he only averaged on average he only averaged 0.9 3 points per game, 3-point attempts per game, not even made. He was averaging under even taking 1 3-pointer a game, and he was when he was averaging as the fourth. How do I want to word this correctly? So on average, he was fourth for points per game just as far as point guards. So when he was doing that, he was averaging 18.8 points per game. Now if you scale, this was back in like 04, 05, like all those years. Now if you scale that to today's game, he is if you scale it to today's game, the fourth leading point guard for points per game on average is about 27 points per game. Russell Westbrook, Trae Young, like and they said if you look at it, it's because on average now 3-point attempts are about five 3-point attempts per game, and there's now LeBron, and he didn't say LeBron, but I'm going to mention that. He said Steph Curry really created positionless basketball. He taught us the lesson that we should have all known: 3 points is better than 2. So instead of trying to put a big man like Dwight Howard or Shaq or something at the 5, I'm a center, and you need to get down in the block. Why don't we just take the time to teach Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic to be more like Dirk and just shoot, because 3 points is better than 2, and it helps with floor spacing. If you have to bring your center out to watch the opposing center, that clears out the lane for the big guys in the middle. So if someone like Kyrie Irving, or who could I use? If someone like Jamal Murray is driving to the basket and the center is out there watching Jokic, now if the center tries to run down and make a block or something, he could just pass it back and Jokic makes a 3. So you kind of have to let them do the 2 to block the 3, which is why points now are just scaling exponentially. It's just going. And if you look at the defensive rules, the defense kind of sucks now compared to back then. So saying all that, I thought it was very interesting to see how if you were to place Tony Parker, Tony Parker in today's game, he would probably be a monster. Or even if you placed one of the point guards we have today back then, they probably wouldn't be as dominant because they had a role. Everyone back then, it was role basketball. Like, you play the one and yada yada yada. Now Giannis brings up the ball. There's no really true point guard. It's positionless basketball. Whoever the best person on the team is, bring up the basketball. LeBron is bringing up the basketball. Sometimes Jokic brings up the basketball. He's a 7-foot center, so it doesn't really matter. It's positionless basketball now. And he said that was brought on by Steph Curry, which is true, but I think you have to give LeBron some credit in that too. Because if you think about it, LeBron showed, because of his athleticism, size, and weight, he could play any position. LeBron was 6'8", playing the point guard like Magic Johnson, but at the same time, he was so strong in his vertical and athleticism so much, he could go guard the center position. Even though the center might be 5 inches taller than him, they can't jump and I can, was LeBron's thing. Like, I have a 42-inch vertical, and they can barely get off their feet. So if they jump, I'm just going to jump with them and try to block the ball. So there's really positionless basketball now, which is making the offense just crazy. And I think it's awesome how we're seeing the dynamics of sports change. Like, we're literally watching it daily. I talked about this before in a different sports episode. You were Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham. Vince Young. They were looked at as like, oh, they run, and running quarterbacks is a black thing and whatever. They can't be pocket quarterbacks. Now you cannot be a pocket quarterback. The defensive line, like Aaron Donald and Shaq Barrett and Khalil Mack, has gotten so dominant that you can't be someone who sits there like a statue and go. And that's what they've been saying. They said, tear the someone made a joke and said, just like how like they were tearing all the statues down of Columbus and everyone else before, they're tearing down the statues in the NFL, because you can't be a statue quarterback like Phillip Rivers anymore and just stand here, or you'll get sacked. So we're seeing the Joe Burrows and Trevor Lawrence, all these new wave quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield. We're seeing that they are upgrading their game and playing a completely different style. Same thing with basketball. they said the because of the nature of the game, people practice their offense like crazy. So it's very rare that you're going to be able to guard a lot of these people now, which is why on average you're seeing 110-point games. If you just go back 20 years to 2000 or even 2003 or something, 17 years, when you had teams like the Pistons with Ben Wallace and you had Rasheed Wallace and Shaq in the league, Kevin Garnett, the average scoring games were like 85, 90, and it was a high scoring game if it got to the hundreds. Like, it was a high scoring game. But now 100 is like given. There's some games on like each night there's a game that's probably like 121 to 123 or something. That's a lot of points being scored. So that obviously brings everybody's average up. That's why Giannis can average 29, and then someone else on his team can average 22 or 23, and it's like, yeah, that's not a lot. Whereas there's Hall of Famers where we look at these people as some of the best to ever do it. They never even averaged 20 points in their career. Monty Ginobili never averaged 20, but he was a beast. Jason Kidd's a Hall of Famer. Never averaged 20 points. 2-time MVP. Steve Nash never averaged 20 points a game in his career. But he was a beast on the floor. Because they didn't shoot threes. They had positions. It was kind of like chess. And this is what Jimmy High Roller was saying. It was kind of like it's kind of like right now, the basketball we're watching, and not to undersell it or underplay it, but the basketball we're watching right now, it's kind of like backyard, like I'm on the court, we're the best people, let's just play basketball, shoot up your shot, and just make it. There's not a lot of plays. There are when it comes down to like the finals and stuff, and you got to stop a specific person. But honestly, if Kevin Durant is the best on the floor, even though you have Kyrie and James Harden or something, Kevin Durant might bring the ball up. Or James Harden might bring the ball up. Or Kyrie might bring the ball up. Where before, there was none of that. If you're the point guard, you bring the ball up, you come to the top of the key, and we run play three. And then someone might do screens and get around, and then you get Shaq in the post, and it's a slower paced game. You use most of the shot clock. People come down now, 16 seconds still left on the shot clock, you just crossed half court, and just chuck the three, and it goes in. So there's no reason for them to not do that. If they say that you have to guard Steph Curry as soon as he crosses the half court line, that 5 years ago, it was just him. Now you have to guard him when he does that. LeBron, Trae Young, Damian Lillard, Jamal Murray. Like, there's so many people, you got to guard them as soon as they cross the line. So it's making the entire game, like, not warp, but change as we know it. So I think it's awesome to watch it change, like, before our eyes. Same thing with this. Baseball is a little different, but same thing with baseball, and I've talked about this before once again on a different show, just slightly. Before, it was, you're a pitcher, you're not allowed to hit, like, leave it alone. Like, we just need you to pitch, and then if we need somebody else, we'll have somebody like sub in for you, or even when you get to the bases, we'll have somebody be a pinch in runner for you. But now there are pitchers who are nice at stealing bases. There's pitchers who can hit home runs, who can smack the ball. So if you, within the next 10, 15, 20 years, that's just going to be what makes people different. There's going to be, I promise you, within the next 20, 25 years, there's going to be someone who's a pitcher and can win, like, the home run derby if they wanted to. They're going to be like, yo, all 9, because there's for baseball, it's a 9-person lineup. You have like 8, like the first baseman normally goes fourth because they're the heavy hitters, like how Ryan Howard was, or from Boston, Big Pop from Boston, or Alex Rodriguez, well, even though he was really like a third baseman. Normally the big hitters go fourth. So there's really not positions anymore. Like, we can all hit, so it doesn't matter where we go. Just line up and go hit the ball. So I think it's awesome to see sports transition, and with sports science and with analytics, people are just doing what works. Most times they're doing it all the time. So one thing I saw yesterday was somebody might shoot 45% from the three-point line, but specifically in the left corner, they shoot 22%. So force them to that corner, or if they get to that corner, let them shoot. there's analytics where people were like taking it more seriously. So I think it's awesome to see how the game is changing, man. For real, for real. And I wanted to do some what ifs, but I really did a lot of them. The biggest what if, and I don't want to spend a crazy amount of time on this, but the biggest what ifs is injuries. The two biggest injuries, like not even in my, one is in my lifetime, one's not. One just makes me think. The two biggest are just injuries, man. What if Derrick Rose really never got injured? I truly believe Derrick Rose could have gone on to be the best player of all time, over LeBron James, over Micheal Jordan, over Kobe Bryant. I think Derrick Rose would have changed the course of basketball history. I don't think LeBron James would have as many championships if Derrick Rose had something to say about it. They were beating them in the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe. Maybe it was the semifinals before Derrick Rose got hurt. I think that the history of basketball would be different if Derrick Rose would not have gotten hurt. And if you watch, shout out to Click Productions. If you watch Click on YouTube, he has so many like simulations that he does where he'll go back to 2000 or 2010 or wherever. Every time Derrick Rose gets into the league, he starts to win championships. Every single time. Like this one thing he did, Derrick Rose ended up being like top 2 or 3 in points, got like 7 champions, and like Derrick Rose he was the youngest MVP ever. And I think he was just going to go on to win more, win some championships, and be the new Jordan of Chicago. And that's where he was from as well. That's where he is from. And I would have loved to see it, man. It makes me sad to even think about it. I can't even watch like D-Rose highlights the way I want to because it's just too much, man. I think he could have been the best to ever do it. I truly think he would have been. And the second one that always boggles my mind, and we already talked about, is Bo Jackson. If Bo Jackson hurt his hip, and he was never the same again. If Bo Jackson doesn't hurt his hip, and if this was like Madden, you were allowed to turn injuries off, would Bo Jackson have gone on to break MLB and NFL records? I don't know. I have to go look at Bo Jackson's. That's one thing I've never really done. I've never looked at his stats, but I would assume that they were awesome. I would assume he never even got. He only played 4 seasons. Oh man, Bo Jackson only played 4 seasons. Put Bo Jackson in for a 15-year career, playing 16 games each. Bo Jackson could have been the best of all time. That I don't know. And I also can't say that he would have played 16 games each because I don't know if not the system, but I do know that the league was different in the 80s and the 90s. He started playing in 87. His last year was in 1990. It says there were 7 games in 1987 that he played in. He started 5. There was 10 he played in 88. He only started in 9. And then he played in 11 in 89 and only started 9. Like, so what I'm getting at is, even when he was not hurt, he wasn't playing all 16 games. If there was 16 back then, I don't know. There could have been 12 back then. And there's been 16 games for a long time. Like, I know that at one point there was 14, but there's been 16 games for a long time. How long has there been 16 games in the NFL? They're thinking about going to 17. There still would be one bye week person, but the NFL has played a 16-game regular season since 1978. So even when Bo wasn't hurt in 87 when he first started, he never played all 16 games. So I don't know. If you look at his career, like maybe he wouldn't have even. I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have did anything over a 15-year career. You can't scale it correctly because he didn't play all 16 games. In the 4 years he did play, he got 3,000 rushing yards, 2,800 really. So if you scale that, multiply that by 4 for a 16-year career. Excuse me. If you want to compare it to Emmitt Smith's career was 15 years. So if you want to times it by 4 and say, okay, Bo Jackson would have played like 16 or something. He would have only gotten 12,000 yards, or 13, whatever you want to do the math, 12, 13, 11, depending on if you want to round up and say 3,000 for 4 years, 4 times the 3,000 over his 4-year career would have been, he got to 12,000. He would finish off as like top 10, but he wouldn't have beat Emmitt Smith or anything like that. But what I'll end it off is with my big what if of the current age. I want to know I want to be able to go into 20 years in the future and just see what Mahomes has done. I think we need to appreciate Brady's career for what he did or what he's done, because people like me and other people in the media were saying, like, what if Mahomes can beat Brady? Brady has beaten franchises, and I think we need to appreciate what that even means. Not only has no player ever gotten 7 championships, like it's never happened. No franchise in the history of the 101-year NFL has ever gotten to 7, has ever won 7 champions. And I'm someone like me is saying, like, oh well, maybe Mahomes could catch Brady if he gets 6 or 7 or 8 or something. Something that's only been done once. We're saying, what if this guy does it too? He could, but it ain't likely. It's not likely in the slightest. And people say, well, look at his people say, look at his career now. He's been in the league 4 years, and he's gotten to the AFC Championship game 3 times and 2 Super Bowls. That's cool. Look what the Bills did in the 80s. The Bills went to 3 Super Bowls and lost 3 straight. Ain't been back since. Just because you did 3 times, 2 times, whatever, doesn't mean you're going to go, as Brady's done, to 10 Super Bowls. Which is mind-blowing. 10 Super Bowls. He's only been in the league 20 years. And he's been to 10 Super Bowls. I just did the math in my head. The NFL is a 100-year season. Tom Brady's been to 10% of the Super Bowls. Him, by himself. I'm at it there, guys. The sun is loving me right now, and I'll probably make this the, let me see if I can pose for it. I'll make this the screenshot of the show or something. But today was a great show. I love being able to just ramble about sports, and obviously people have told me they know when I'm passionate about the topic or when I'm not. So, like, some topics I want to talk about and just to see where my mind can go or something like that, or just to see how I feel about it or what the people think about it. But sports is my thing. Like, I could talk about sports all day. So I'll end it there. I appreciate everybody, even that guy that randomly came in. I'm actually glad that happened, though, because now I know if I don't set the room up the right way, someone could just join and then just start talking. So I'm glad I learned that. And I'll end it here. Thank you to everybody. You can follow me on all social media platforms at the Duron Coles. And I'll see you guys here tomorrow, probably for a Free Think Friday. We'll see about that. I might do a finance show tomorrow. I haven't done one in a while. So I'll see you guys then. And you guys have a beautiful Thursday. Peace.